What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to take a look at a Wonder Waddle game where I generate tons of gold. We're just going to look at all of the ways that you can generate gold in Storybook Brawl that aren't like infinite. No holy grail, no piggy bank either, but basically every other way that you can come up with to make extra gold we are going to utilize in this game. And we're going to start by picking up Kitty Cup Purse and locking onto a shop with a witch's brew. So that way we can get that gold generation started early on here. And we are going to get pretty lucky with an upgrade of Kitty Cup Purse in this first shop. So we'll pick up that Kitty Cup Purse upgrade. Awkwardly, if I were to take Crown of Atlas, it would give all of my animals +1/+1 and good, but then I can't use the Witch's Brew. So I'm thinking, what if I just took Spinning Wheel? That's another way to generate gold, and wasn't really going into this one with the idea in mind that I would try to generate a bunch of extra gold, but we are probably going to slay with Kitty Cupper, so that'll be 2 extra gold next turn, and then we'll also have the spinning wheel, as long as we don't get 50-50'd by this tiger, but looks like we will get away with a tie and some extra gold generation. So we're going to have 7 gold here on turn 3. Pretty crazy. That is enough to pick up a blind mouse, a polywoggle, and then I could take unicorn and shard it, or I could just roll, try to find another animal, and that is going to give us another polywoggle, which is great. And we are going to see bounty board, which is another treasure that can just help us generate a little bit of gold. I do think Jack's jumping beans probably a little bit better here, but at this point we're ready to go full meme. I'm also going to think about the forbidden fruit just so that I could potentially roll and try to find another blind mouse. And you know what? It's another way to generate gold, so might as well pick it up. We do have an option to lock this shop as well, but I think with all of the gold that we're going to be generating, we've got the Kitty Cup Purse, the spinning gold, the bounty board, and then also we're fighting up against Share Bear here. I felt like it would be worth trying to just find some tier 3 animals next turn. Unfortunately, we're going to miss our slay with Kitty Cup Purse thanks to that baby root, but we're still going to have 7 gold for this turn thanks to just spinning gold and the Share Bear. So I'll go ahead and pick up a stag, and then we've got a few other options. I could take Lucky. That is kind of a way to generate gold, but so is Forbidden Fruit. I'm going to pick that up and roll for some more tier 3 animals and more blind mice. Now, there was no type of stipulation or anything related to gold going into this game. However, there was one kind of rule that I had for myself. I won't really say a rule, but it was something that I was definitely thinking that I didn't really want to play hatball this game if I could avoid it. That is something that I wind up defaulting to a lot as Wonder Waddle. At the very least, I didn't want to force Hatball, and was going to just see what other strategies that I could pursue while playing Wonder Waddle. Because Wonder Waddle is a very powerful hero. There's a lot of things that he can do. Wonder Waddle is one of the most powerful strategies in the game, but I wanted to see what else I could get away with here. So we are going to wind up slaying with the Kitty Cup Purse, and then unfortunately not with the Polywoggle. Take a little bit more damage, but now we've got 10 gold this turn thanks to Bounty Board, Kitty Cup Purse, and the Spinning Gold, so not too shabby. We'll also pick up a pair of prized pigs this turn, and we're going to see both the hat and the ball. Now, that's why I just mentioned that I was kind of saying, okay, let's not do hat ball this game. Merlin's hat is a way to kind of generate some additional gold as well, if you think about cost reduction as gold, similar to Lucky, but we're just going to wind up taking the treasure map here because we do still have this blind mouse, and we also have the stag. I'd be pretty okay with either a tier 6 or a tier 5 treasure. So that is basically what we are going to look for. We'll see if we can find one of those two things. And hopefully we can slay with the Polywoggle this turn. It's potentially worth putting the Polywoggle into slot 5, so that way it attacks slightly earlier. But I'm also like, interested in getting this cash, and looks like we're going to do fine getting both the kitty cut purse and the pollywoggle sleigh on this turn, and the prized pig gold. So we'll also get double bounty board, and we are looking at 16 gold on 3.2. That is definitely got to be a record for like non-infinite amounts of gold. We could convert some of this gold into XP, but there's a few other things that I'm looking for here. I'm looking for treasures for out of Stag and out of Blind Mouse, and I'm also potentially looking for True Love's Kiss to turn this soul tack into something that's actually a little bit more relevant on the board. So gonna wind up rolling, find a Wish Upon a Star. I'm not super sure how likely we are to be winning these combats, but after finding some more stags and not finding some more blind mice, I think I am going to go for that. I will Mix-a-Whizzle and find an Aeon, so that actually gives us a pretty large unit here, and then I do believe I'm going to wind up selling the golden chicken, tripling this stag. Don't get any great treasures here. Probably we'll just take Dracula's Saber or Helm, because Hand of Midas this early in the game, not exactly what you're looking for. So Dracula's Saber is fine. We'll keep it at all points of the game. I don't really need to give my Blind Mouse +15/+15, and then I'll just throw Aeon behind the stag as well, so that way we can potentially just scale this Aeon even more. And a little bit of an awkward combat because our stag gets attacked into, but we are going to start killing some things eventually, and Aeon will get the sleigh, Kitty Cutpurse will get the sleigh, and then Aeon gets in for another sleigh. So now my spells cost 4 less. That is really, really good. That really means I want to True Love's Kiss this soul tack or find some XP this turn. And then we also have some gold off of bounty board. I'm going to Mix-a-Whizzle the soul tag again, and again it becomes Aeon. So is that a bug? Is that how the game works? Not sure. But then we're going to find the True Love's Kiss. And now we've got a tier 6 unit that we get to keep, and we get Lordy. And for that reason, we're going to pick up Greedy and try to get some extra gold out of that. I'd love to pick up the Wish Upon a Star at this point, but I don't think that it's worth just locking onto and grabbing next turn. I want to just see if I can find another Greedy or potentially other dwarves. I'll take Tiny. Basically, any dwarf that I get right now is going to wind up giving Greedy +4/+4, so they're all relevant to add to the board, and yeah, we'll wind up going with that, and then this will be our final board for the turn. Definitely moving a little bit away from the gold generation plan, but one of the reasons that I love an early Lordy is because then you just get to start making some gold from Greedy. Yeah, maybe just moving away from like the bounty board. That'll be the next thing that we probably want to cut, and the Kitty Cut Purse probably isn't super long for this world as well. But you see we're up against another Dwarves player, and we're going to kind of kick their butt because we've got a Lordy, and this is something that I've talked about before. I think I brought it up in my patch notes a few months ago, that the instances that you're going to want to play dwarves now are when you find that upgraded Lordy, and I just wanted to show that that hasn't changed that much on the new patch, and that it will still wind up playing out pretty similarly, but wanted to take a look at it nonetheless. Fool's Gold is another fun way to generate a bunch of gold. We can toss this bounty board now, like I said, and might as well cast this Falling Stars because we're not going to see another spell this turn, and that'll give us some cash with Greedy. Could have picked up the Nutcracker there, but I'm really just rolling for more Greedies and seeing what we can't find here. And I basically want to put in all of the Greedies that we can, and also doubly seems like it'll be pretty good. That'll be a bunch of stats. Could take Fanny as well. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Try to grab some dwarves. Princess White, kind of interesting. A little bit late for Princess White when we're already so into dwarves, but we're going to keep buying dwarves for the rest of the game, basically. So I think that she's still good to pick up. And basically this game is a little bit like, it's tricky because obviously upgraded Lordy on 4.0 isn't going to happen that often. However, you'd be surprised in terms of the ways that you are able to actually put it together. And I do think that this game is somewhat instructional too, and the reason that I say that is if you've been watching the channel, and there's even games that I don't upload where I'm able to grab an upgraded Lordy early on and kind of do this same strategy. This is definitely something to just have in your wheelhouse, to know that, okay, definitely try to pivot to dwarves if this is something that pops up in one of your games. So definitely going to be looking to just take full advantage of that, and taking full advantage now of the Fool's Gold, but I do kind of want to toss that eventually. I'm fine having the extra gold right now. Obviously, this game's all about that extra cash money with the prized pig and the Fool's Gold and the spinning gold and all that, but eventually I am going to want to toss the Fool's Gold so that I can grab some XP. I do debate picking up Polywoggle, but ultimately I don't think that that is going to make us that much stronger, so not going to go for that one here. I would have to, it would just be a lot to try to get another Polywoggle to slay, and then even so, I'm really only caring if it is a Lordy or a Echo Wood. Now, the other reason that Polywoggle could have been good is one treasure that I'm potentially looking to add to my board right now is the Ring of Meteors. So I pick up the Golden Chicken because, well, Golden Chicken's just good on Wonder Waddle, but I'm also potentially looking for a Ring of Meteors, and I'm going to wind up settling for Horn of Olympus, just with these fannies to give everything in the front row +4/+4. I feel like that is a decent amount of stats right now for the current board, and is just going to allow us to farm harder with Greedy and continue to get some cash flow going on there. Greedy now upgraded as well, so every time it takes some damage we're getting +2 gold. Definitely not going to have as much gold as we had earlier on, but we're getting more gold per turn as well, and so it's gonna even out and wind up meaning that we've got 18 gold this turn. Pretty sweet stuff. I'm thinking with the Drax Saber, we can actually afford to take Lancelot here, Blaze of Glory it, and then that'll put it up to 19. So if 3 things die, it'll get +6/+3. So that is pretty close to activating already. And then I think I'll grab another Greedy because why not? I'm also kind of interested in the XP, but not just gonna lock and stay here. And then I see 2 more pretty decent dwarves. And because we've already cast a spell for the turn, I think that it is good to pick these up. We can sell both of our crafties and then both of our fannies, and what I'm thinking is I will probably just replace the horn with whatever treasure we get from Princess White here, because we're going to complete Princess White on this turn as well. And Sting can actually be pretty good with dwarves. There were a few different treasures that I was potentially looking for, but Sting can work with Tweedledee, but at the last second I realized it can also work with Lancelot. It'll just auto-complete Lancelot right here, so let's just go for that to start the combat off, and that'll be pretty sweet for us, and then we'll have a tier 5 treasure. Maybe look to pick up some XP just to get a little bit more ahead of the lobby, and still rocking that spinning gold too, so still generating some extra cash there. And we're also still quite strong that we're not going to have too much of a problem, and we're up against Share Bear again, so we're going to be generating some extra cash from that as well. And don't even think my backline Greedy, won't even get into the combat, so no extra gold from that one, but we will still wind up with a few extra gold for the turn. I don't really love any of these treasures, but Helm of the Ugly Gosling is stats, and I think now that we're basically moving on to level 6, I could probably appreciate the stats a little bit more than I could make use of just the 1 gold per turn. That's not going to be anything super impressive. I'll also triple a triply, have the option to take Power Orb here, just kind of over all of that. And then I'll go for Hi Ho to end the turn off, just to give all of my dwarves a little bit of a bonus. Find the XP right after that. I think I'm going to lock for it. I think that it is worth just spending 5 gold next turn to lock, and then I'll have some more gold to roll and try to find Lordy, try to find Echo Wood. That's basically the plan here. I'm also going to put in my third greedy because we are up against the ghost, so we'll see what we are able to do with that one. I'm going to backline it though and frontline these Agries. And yeah, so next turn we should have some extra gold as well. I sold off the prized pig, so we can't go full greed mode against the ghost, but maybe that's a lesson. Hang on to your prized pigs just in case you wind up playing against the ghost in the future. We're gonna have no problem here against the ghost, and we'll get a few more gold triggers from greedy as well. And again, we're gonna be finishing the combat before the greedy in the back line even gets to attack, so maybe could have just frontlined all three greedies as well. But 16 gold for the turn, that lets us cast this Wish Upon a Star and still have 11 gold to roll and to try to pick up Lordies. And think this is a mistake to be picking up doublies here ultimately, and probably wanted to pick up the golden chicken as well. But we do wind up finding an Echo Wood, so that's pretty sweet. We'd have to sell 3 things to pick it up, so it's probably both of these Grady's and then the Lancelot to add this Echo Wood to the board. And then I might want to put in this doubly as well, because doubly just works so well with Echo Wood and all of this other stuff going on, and I don't really need the Angry. That's not going to be that great for us. So we'll add the Echo Wood. That gives a reasonable amount of stats to the board. I believe that the Helm of the Gosling will wind up going on this frontline Angry that we have as well. And yeah, looks like that will be the case. So pretty decent amount of stats throughout the board. That is going to be enough to defeat this slay comp, because our units are just too big for them to be able to slay against. I actually need to rewind it back. Did we get lucky on this initial attack? It is a 67 attack lance. Yes, and it would slay against all of our units other than the doubly that it attacks into. So pretty lucky on that one. And then we attack right into the Vampire, and then Jormungand just has no hope. So kind of an awkward way that things worked out for my opponent on that one, but that is going to mean that we walk away with a win. And again, greedy not getting into the action, so could have moved that up. But we're basically at the point where we're going to start ignoring greedy and stop trying to generate additional cash and just try to play the strongest board at every point in the game here. We pick up another doubly off of Hi-Ho. It's kind of interesting. Maybe we could find another doubly, but we will end this turn by just picking up another Lordy, and that gives us a considerable amount of power. The Helm will now land on Lordy. Not super exciting, but we do have just a bunch of huge units here, so that is pretty nice. And Tweedle will then resummon and give our Echo Wood even a little bit more stats. And interestingly, my opponent does steal a doubly with the Siren, so that's good for them. And kind of an interesting interaction. You can Rotten Applewood something and then steal it with Siren, and it gets all of its buffs back. So just kind of weird there. They steal a 100 doubly, which is about as well as this combat could have gone for them, but still we're going to wind up crushing them. So doesn't really matter in the end. And now we, again, are really just looking for Echo Woods, Lordies, and potentially a doubly or an Angry just to triple them and potentially get a treasure out of them. And we're also on to the finals against the Slay Zelhua that we just played against. So this game is almost over, and we are gonna cap things off on this turn by picking up another Angry. And kind of interesting, because our shop was full, the Angry defaulted to the bench, or because our board was full, this Angry winds up finding itself on the bench, and kind of presents an interesting thing for us, because I think I actually like not playing the Angry in hindsight. And I like Staff of the Old Toad, but like, sure, the 15/15 on the Lordy isn't that exciting, but maybe it's just worth floating this Staff of the Old Toad for a second. There is one other play. No, not really. I was going to say, like, maybe you could try to make the helm go on something else, but that would mean cutting the Lordy, so there's really no way to make that into existence. So we'll just wind up playing the helm this turn. My opponent will get an attack in with Shadow Assassin, but that doesn't slay. They will get an attack in with Lance, which does slay, and gives them a rather large Jormungand, and that's going to be enough to win the fight, actually, because they've got a Jormungand plus a big Echo Wood in the back, so we will wind up losing this one, taking 13 damage down to 6. I felt like we were reasonably likely to win that one, though, 87% to win, so just got a little bit unlucky. We will need to continue to scale, though, because my opponent's units are scaling each combat, so that is something to be on the lookout for, and they might also wise up and just put one of their slay units in the first attacking position so that things are a little bit less random. And we don't have any gold generation at this point. We just have Staff of the Old Toad, which is kind of gold generation in its own right because it just makes your rolls that much more powerful. Interestingly, we won't be able to find another Triply, so we are really just banking on finding more Lordies, finding more Echo Woods at this point. And Tweedle is also an interesting consideration, but probably something that we don't want to go for. The main thing that we could get out of Tweedle would be an Ambrosia to use our second Lordy on. Ambrosia definitely would have been good instead of Staff of the Old Toad. Just count it as multiple Lordies, but just going to wind up playing this same board, and because of that, we are actually now less strong than my opponents, and we are pretty likely to lose this one. They did move their Slay units to that first position as well, but the Lancelot attacks into our Triply yet again, and that is just going to spell doom for them and allow us to win. So on this one, we wind up getting pretty lucky, and we are going to take a win, hit Zelhua for 16 down to 12, and you can see we were only 30% to win that one. So the game giveth and the game taketh, and then it giveth us an Echo Wood. So that's going to add a bunch of stats to the board as well. Echo Wood, just a large unit, means that my opponent isn't going to be super likely to slay, and then I am going to just play all doublies just to try to minimize my opponent's chances of slaying here, and more doublies also means more initial stats for Echo Wood, which I think is also going to be strong. And do think this is potentially the last turn of the game. I'm considering going for the Dream, but then I roll and I take a look at Zelhua's board, and there's actually some interesting things that we can do here by lightning bolting, because we can snag 2 of my opponent's different back row supports, and that could potentially be the difference maker. And it is. The math on this just winds up working out really, really well in our favor. I'm even going to just slow it down here as soon as the combat starts. So our Lordies will trigger and give ourselves a bunch of stats. My opponent, we can see, has Hermes Magic Beans, which is going to allow them to get first attack, and they are going with Gumblegore onto Lancelot rather than Baba Yaga. Maybe I should wait for this animation to play out. Oh, no, I gotta go back a second. They're going for Gumblegore on Baba Yaga just to give Lancelot the most stats so that it can possibly slay. And we're gonna see that my doubly is at 109, their Lancelot is at 112, and of course you know this Lancelot loves to attack into my Triply. We're going to take out their Gumblegore, bring Lancelot down to 92, which also gives us a little bit more stats thanks to the, what is this called? Drac Saber. So we can see that the Lancelot is now 20 attacks short of killing my Triply, which conveniently is the bonus that a Gumblegore would be giving Lancelot. And I actually forgot my opponent has Horn, so all of these units are affecting this Lancelot. So the Baba Yaga is affecting that as well, and each Gumblegore is giving plus 20 attack. So that lightning bolt is actually just enough to cancel that slay and make this combat pretty easy for us. So we got pretty lucky there. I mean, it was a 2 and 3. It wasn't like we had to kill this Gumblegore. We could have killed either Gumblegore, and that would have prevented Lance from slaying if Lance finds the 50-50 and attacks either into Echowood or Tripoli. If it attacked into one of the doublies, then obviously it would have been able to slay. So we definitely got lucky. It was a 44%er there, but we were more likely to lose, but we did indeed find the way to win. So that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.